This is the professional email inbox, a once thriving cornucopia of education, entertainment, and commerce. But now, by the account of many experts, a barren wasteland of uninspired spam.
This is a glimpse into the state of your prospect's inbox right now. Before a prospect ever opens your email, they're scanning. They're looking to see what's important, what can be immediately deleted. In order to make that decision, they're first going to look at the subject line. This is your one opportunity to stand out from the rest of the sellers in your prospect's inbox. But your goal isn't to stand out by standing out. Your goal is to stand out from other salespeople by blending in with all the email that your prospect perceives as being important.
If we look close, there is life, an email that has cut through the noise by not trying to cut through the noise. Email reply rates has caught the prospect's eye. It appears this crafty SDR has learned to adapt to their new environment.
Things like first name tokens, questions, and punctuations. These are things that marketers and salespeople do. You want your subject line to be interpreted through the same lens that an email from someone on the team would be. How would you send an email to a colleague? Certainly not with the marketing touch that most salespeople use. So imagine an internal email saying, Will, struggling to build those slides? It just wouldn't happen, right? It seems weird. You'd send a subject line like slide update. It's a vague but telling description of what the email is about. If my co-founder, Will Balance, or someone on the success team emailed me about churn, it certainly wouldn't be written so formally. So even if churn is a problem, I'm a busy person, and I'm probably not going to open that email. But if that same person used the subject line of churn question, now they've got my attention. What kind of churn? Was there a report that I messed up? Even if it doesn't trigger that urgency, aka I might think, oh, this is something that I was just thinking about. I was just thinking about churn. That subject line doesn't trigger me to think this is a sales or marketing email. That email is going to get opened. According to Lavender data, by using a subject line that's only 2 words, I can increase my chances of getting an open by 39.5%. A subject line isn't the only thing driving an open. You have the sender's name, which if you're in sales, it's a little out of your control. And you have the preview text. The preview text is that little section next to the subject line that shows the start of the email. To the reader, it answers, is this for me? aka, is this spam? Is this going to be relevant? It's a teaser to answer the bigger question your reader has. Sellers are falling short here. Most of the time, the preview text can be the most effective filter for deciding if something is spam.
Hey, Cindy, I hope this email finds you well. Congrats on the recent Series A round. Very exciting.
Perhaps training for the young seller is still in order.
If I see, I hope this finds you well, just following up on my last note, or even as a COO and co-founder, I imagine, from a stranger, it's most likely trash. Use the preview space, aka the start of your message, to show the reader the message was crafted for them. And just like that, one of the biggest hurdles of cold outreach, aka getting me to open the email, is solved. So, now you have my attention, but how do you keep it? According to our latest data, you have less than 10 seconds for your prospect to consume your message before they're gonna move on. 10 seconds, that's it. They're running it through that mental spam filter. And the higher you go in an organization, the less time you're gonna have. If your emails are getting open but not replied to, you're most likely triggering that prospect's mental spam filter. Think about the last time you opened an email and you thought it was important. Just to be slapped in the face with, hey name, with some generic personalization about where you went to school, a social post, or something related to the industry. To the prospect, this is even worse than a bad subject line because now they feel like they've been duped. They've been lured in by some clickbait. Your reader's first question is, what is this? You need to answer that question quickly and do it relevantly. Typically, people use cliche tactics to try to build rapport with the prospect. Hey Will, I noticed you live in Atlanta, I went to school there. Or, hey Will, I noticed you work at a tech startup, me too. These are generic tactics that are often used to personalize at scale, which at the end of the day means you're trying to trick your prospect into thinking you took the time to directly write to them, but it's clear that you didn't.
The prospect scans her email. If she's intrigued, she only spends 10 seconds with it. But unfortunately, our prospect, like most, bear witness to the wrath of her mental spam filter. Deleted after being opened for less than 3 seconds. Our prospect has been trained over the course of a career to preserve time at all costs. The seller must learn to avoid these triggers.
Instead of using a generic, obvious personalization, do a bit of research. You're looking for something that you can tie back to a problem that you solve for. You have to be extremely aware of the things that activate these mental spam filters. Cliches that salespeople are known for are an instant giveaway. Here's a few that I've actually had sent to me in the week prior to filming this. Hi Will, how's it going? I hope this email finds you well. I love Lavender, and I've been using it for a while now. I've found it incredibly insightful. When I'm building my emails, exactly like this one, smiley face emoji. Let's break this down for a minute. Not only did this email use a cliche, I hope this finds you well, but they followed it up with some fake personalization, because if they in fact did use Lavender, this would have been flagged immediately. They would have been told not to use this cliche opener. This is a perfect example of losing your audience for good before they've even had a chance to get any relevant information that may have been a part of the email.
But cliches aren't the only thing that our prospects' fine-tuned instincts are attuned to filtering. Length is even more debilitating to our seller's ability to get a response.
Let's take this email that doesn't look that long on a desktop. Now, let's open it up on a phone where your prospect is 8 times more likely to view your email for the first time. You can see immediately how something that originally looked okay now looks like an absolute novel. Emails that are mobile optimized are gonna see 83% more replies. And another piece is the length of that message. Emails that are 25 to 50 words are seeing 68% more replies than the average 125 to 150 word email. And think about it. It's short, it's gonna fit on that mobile phone, it doesn't look dense, because dense blocks of text aren't scannable. And the moment the prospect realizes this isn't an internal email and the amount of work it's gonna take to consume that message, it's too late. You've been deleted. You've been marked as spam. And while you let that sink in, think about this stat. And for everyone that skips the cliches and writes mobile-friendly emails, there's a huge group that still tries to prove they're worthy of a response by using unnecessarily complicated language, like the dense blocks of text. Using jargons, acronyms, and just big words in general makes your email feel much more difficult to scan.
Hi, Will. I hope this finds you well.
I know you're extremely busy, but I believe congratulations are in order, given your recent funding announcement.
Your goal isn't to prove to the prospect that you're on the same level when it comes to knowledge about their role. Don't insult their intelligence. Instead, use plain language and curious tones. Asking questions instead of trying to educate them is how you start a conversation. And at the end of the day, the goal of your first touch email is to start a conversation, not book a meeting.